Welcome to Presence Dialogues, and I'm your host, Joe Diamo. A Presence Dialogue is an approach to communication in which participants tune in to a frequency of consciousness, a quality of listening beyond the personal level, with the accent on the novelty of the present moment. We tap into a field in which we are at best conduits for the deeper intuitive intelligence of the heart. The topic for exploration today is the Word. So much has been said in the spiritual literature about the Word, going before Christ even, with the Stoics and so on and so forth. The divine Word that creates the universe, that's constantly informing us, and that we can tune into if we and become vessels for in our spiritual journey. And I'm very pleased to have with us today Annam. Annam is awake to the divine word and is a bridge to the core self within. She is teacher in residence at the Heartgate Oneness Study and Residential Facility in Hood River, Oregon. It's my pleasure to have you here.
And we were just pretending we could use facilitate instead of center, because it means you shall be facilitated in direct access to the divine core nature and the word within.
So we invite you to participate, as always, as you use this as a spiritual exercise and be with us in this. So it's not just a matter of information, but it actually has a potential to
stir you
and raise the frequency as we raise attempt to raise the frequency. As I attempt to raise the frequency, she's already in a higher frequency. So the word. This is, for me, such a core and important thing, and I would love to get your take on how the word is experienced. That's my first question. How you experience the word, or be the word, or what is it? What is it exactly that we're talking about?
It's agency. We've been speaking of that in earlier talks today. It's agency. It's the nature of agency. Your entirety is biased in word. In the divine word, it's completed. In your own words, without the bias of oneness, first, you mismanage your core reason for being. So naturally, supplant your mind with what is precious and resonant within you, and you will stop being so afraid of you in public and us as your public. As partner to everything that you're for. You're intended to be in association, I often will say now, in association with the word of what is whole and powerfully aligning us. And that's the word that isn't English or Spanish or Hindi, etc.
So we're talking about a frequency.
Frequency. It's like a magic spell. We could play with that. It's something that divines our way of regarding and stirring and brewing and maneuvering energies and developing a continuum of reality through our associations that are accurate.
Thank you for that.
Take that, Joe.
And so why then aren't we just all naturally tuned to this frequency, since it is the primary frequency of creation? It's
We
operating
are when
now.
we're born.
When we're born.
And then we get into odd associations, like kitchi kitchi coo, and we remember that touch and go, whoa, what's that? And we follow the finger, and we find out there's these things called form that get our intrigue, and we start to associate with our own brief noticings. And eventually we stir the chaos into our version of reality, and we say, I need that finger to coochie coochie my chin again. And we completely focus on the new instead of, surprisingly, what seems to be the other end of us, which is already an occurrence. Why should we look there? Why should we brag I'm already enough? Why not find out what this association is? And we get more and more bound to the associations of our interests and literally forgive that we ever were whole already enough to just breathe together and align together in hard to find good English words, but it's a divinity reliant way. Divinity is what is so. And the power of it is unity, and the unity of it we call absolute precious focusing of us in a natural service together.
So, it seems like it's memory and forgetting the natural, like of a child, natural forgetting of the present moment gradually, because of association, which is memory, and then living from that memory, living from that past, and the projected future that builds up and builds up, right? I mean, the ego builds up around all that.
Yes, mainly through attachments. As soon as we attach to the kitschy,
Right, right.
then we're already adrift a bit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So we get further and further away, it seems like, then
Right.
in the process of conditioning and growing up.
Should we find out how we get back to the word?
That was my next question. Thank you very much for reading my
Then
mind.
that's what the word does. It's a telepathic, loving, prior to mind thinking and spewing sound increase of us. The telepathic link that divines how the weave of us can move well together ends up in, it's a funny word, but skewering us on divine word. It ends up making us so that we cannot inform ourselves except within truth of what's real, truth of connection. That's what we'd call it here. Truth of the reality that must live in connectivity. All of this is early on, this connectivity, and now we've devised a way to mention me and you, and the word has broken away from our fascination. The way we resume fascination is kind of hilarious. It's that we resume enjoying each other fully. That doesn't mean tactily. People like that one. It means in the virtual and holism of us before we even take a breath to speak. It's a virtual, it's a almost whole of us. On earth we're not exactly completed in our way of journeying together until we accent the fact that we are made good by something bigger than us. And when we believe in that, the word is begun. It's a sense. It's a good way to metaphor it. It's a sense of a strum occurring through the fabric of isness here, the space between us that unites us. The word will bring forth a uniting of the weaves and the waves of our theory-biased mind. And then it will inform us how to proceed in love. So it first starts to begin, sort of a redundant almost, but it starts to begin. It's like driving toward the boat, that's the start. And then to begin to turn the ignition of the boat, to go out into the ocean further together, and then dive into the ocean together. It begins to get us alert to how we could do this, and to even find it more fun than
Than the other way.
the kitschy kitschy coo.
Mm-hmm. So could one say what comes up for me is that at first you have to sort of do the path, or you have to effort the path, sort of get into the frequency
Yeah,
of
you have
prior
to,
to
you have to need it.
it, right? And then at some point, it sounds like it grows.
Can.
At some point, it can grow. It hopefully will grow, and that would be the evolutionary process. And then, as it grows, does it? Then you said something about you can't not do that. So that, like the usual thing is, first we do the path, and then the path does us. Is that accurate in terms of what happens? Because as it grows,
Yes.
we can't help but be led by it.
Right.
Is that what you're
Whatever
saying?
you attach your reality to becomes where you live. So that's
To where but to the point where no effort is required, because it's just it's leading us. It's
Well,
waking us up.
I sometimes
How's that
change
work?
the word effort to fort, and fort is strength, the strength of energy,
Okay.
the strength of alignment, the strength of focus, the strength of having nothing prior or eventual later.
That's what I meant by
Yeah.
by effort, like just focusing.
Yeah, but love will do that. Interest really helps see to that. Fascination, real, clean, clear. Here I am. Let's do this, brother. No, let's
That
do
that
this.
can get us there.
You know,
That can,
but even here and now, word actually helps us attend to how the frequencies are going. It's telepathically given, and it gives us the signal within of how to watch energy. For instance, I can watch your energy knowing there's an audience out there, because part of your energy is spewing out this way. You're alert to somewhere else and not with us. It's really intricate to just be for what's happening in communion.
right.
Now, part of that is accurate on our part, because there are ways this conversation is being dealt out to many of us. But all we have to do is be impressed by it through our core light acceptance
What
of this
came
truth.
up for me was
Yeah,
that
we
I
just
mean we
offered,
can
that's
be
good.
in we can be, like we had said, like you say a lot, be in this. So in other words, I don't necessarily just have to be with the fascination.
Right. It doesn't have to be through the head.
But what you saw of my energy was that I'm thinking about that at the same time, which isn't the same as expanding awareness to the whole as I'm speaking
In
with you.
fact,
right?
as you notice that if you come back into that expanded state, you notice that everything is within that expansion, and you don't have to reach out to touch it.
Right.
You don't have to touch
It's already
it.
there.
It's already within your embrace. How much sweeter is that? It actually calms the whole body and its nervous system.
So in your perception, are we having a is word speaking through us purely at this moment? I mean,
No.
are there different
There's various.
levels of
There's-
its expression, or if not, you don't like levels, let's say different. Sometimes it can be. I mean, maybe rarely it could be a pure expression of the word. Other times it's somehow obscured. I mean, what makes it different? You know what I mean?
Oh, that's a simple answer.
Good.
Word almost never comes through the id. It comes through love,
Ah.
and it comes
So it
as,
doesn't even come
and
through.
it comes as agency and not English. It comes as the means for connectivity and the thoroughfare of us, so that we are part of a wave of working energy and resolution, resolution of what has been.
But since it's the creative principle, right? That's in everything all the time. I mean, it is what create. So therefore, we're just talking about either it's a pure expression or it's deviated by the ego,
It's
by
always
the id.
deviated by the ego, which I use ego to refer to the experiencer side. The ego is just the experiencer. So we don't have to do anything with that yet.
Okay.
The word, it's like my sitting in a body. I don't have to think, let's make sure that the blood is flowing through the knee and down to my toe. We take it for granted. That's happening. We take ourselves for granted that we exist in some manner. And the word, we don't even have reason to consider that there is language for this. Just, this is first. Why bother? Now I need to find out what's out here. Well, our problem is we have too long believed in out feeling the outside instead of incurring the reality of what is in the embrace of it all as isness. And I'm not usually reflecting on the seeming isness of bodies and forms of various kinds that we've created, but isness as an energetic supplement of good that is like food. Food. Nourishing holism is as what keeps it all lined. It's a strange meaning of this for the lanes of targets and workings of, how do we find simple words? What's going to matter in the long rooting of us. The long word. The word is not short.
By that
It's
you mean
ongoing.
it's ongoing. Yeah.
It does not cease. And it demonicizes itself on occasion, meaning it comes into singular focuses on occasion, and if it stays more than a brief 2 minutes, it secularizes from oneness and becomes limited, engaging, and doesn't find the floor of the way. And in some way, it's going to deform reality for the time and the agencies of the ideas that limiting oneself to smaller versions of word have done. So that's a simpler way, believe it or not, to state something that is elongated in its purpose and reason for even being said. And this is the word trying me on to see if I will speak it fully enough.
Right now.
I have a habit of limiting some of the way the word will speak because I'm sure you're not going to get it, which is limiting of me to say to you. That's kind of
So
a
you're
reality fix I've got, that people rarely do more than say, huh, when the word keeps going. And the word never stills. It keeps going. There's no periods on it. There's no endings of it. As soon as you're interested, the word keeps flowing in substitutes through our English for its fullness of telepathic alignment, and will keep us cornering it, starting us over in some sector of it and then moving us over to a different sector until it has finally flooded you and us with understanding what word is doing. It's developing us to move along our plan back to, if you will, the resonance with the divine instead of the resonance with the headache mind. It takes a while.
It takes a while. It seems like only because you say the word deviates, and the word, but is it the word deviates because we're not vessel of it? Because
Right,
we're not.
We want to limit it.
Yeah.
We want to catch it.
So it goes sort of around corners
Yeah.
and tries to go around because it's not coming through.
We want to put it in a museum and say, this is the Bible of that time.
Yeah. Right.
Don't touch it.
Right. Now I'm going to venture into some, territory here that's a little bit, I mean, from the religious perspective. I mean, we're talking about the logos. We're talking about the Christ. We're talking about Jesus Christ being one with the logos. I mean, that's really part and parcel of this. We really
No, it's
can't
not.
separate this from that.
If we really go esoteric, it absolutely is with some of that. But to limit it to a religion may startle some of our audience.
Sure.
So, first you need to understand that every one of us has our design, period. It's just what is. Your design is ongoing. And whether or not you cancel out your use of it. The design, capital D, incurs a way to move the oceans. In the Bible it would say the wrath would be noticeable, that you are not paying attention to the great design you're made for. Jesus, or
Yes, sure.
Yeshua, I sometimes refer to him in the Aramaic version, is of a kind that I've learned the word angel to refine our understanding of. And that's a very long talk and a gorgeous talk, and I know what he came to do, and it wasn't to hang on a cross, and it wasn't to save you from your sins. It was to wake you up to love, to be who love is, to be him in your version of the design.
So what is the thank you. So what is the what is the design? You know, what is it exactly? Is that like our essence, or like the essence of our soul, of our true nature, forever and ever and ever, or is it
A
something?
design made it so that this could stick together as permanently as weather and energy will permit. But our design doesn't have weather and energy undoing it. So a design might be, I carry the word. It's of my design. And the word will have no cleverness in it. It simply will be what engages us in the royal way of being whole. A design might be to fulfill the oceans by reasoning in the ocean with how to swim like a duck, or give the possibility for a winged one to come in and surf off the waves and gather nourishment from the ocean. The design might be to engage us in continual services, and the design might be to disrupt us and send us to chaos so we would not stay caught. Designs will favor something that's needed by wholeness.
So the designs.
Many selections, so many. It would seem our enemy is not of a design, but they may be exactly what is a design.
To wake us up further, or to
Yeah.
get us back on the word.
Catalyze that perspective. That, it's not perspective as much as engagement. To catalyze engagement of forces that derive severe displeasure when they cannot be engaged. And to engage with our foes, we need to believe that they have a holy design as well as the one that's kind of an idiot working in them. And as we trust in that holy design, some partnering is starting. It may take decades or eons to fully fit to, but we've started the beginning of the end of crying out loud against each other and suffering thereby. Now, you started something back there on that logos thing. The logos is the word.
Right. Yes. So it seems that design. I mean, it's like everybody's got their own particular design, or they're like an infinite number of designs.
What
Is
you
that
want
what
to
you're
say
talking
again? Yeah, infinite.
about? The infinite number. Okay. So and these are the means by which the word, or the logos, the divine, these designs are the different means by which the logos can express it, learn,
It's
or
a strange way
express
to say it.
itself fully
Yeah.
in the world.
Yes. Yes. Can support the whirl of atoms moving through the migrations back to the oneness of the divine nature, and not needing to engage embodiment style, where you're basically impersonating good and rarely achieving fulfillment of it.
Okay. So, okay. So, the universe is trying to become, God is trying to be, you can say, God
Not
is,
trying.
God is, well, God
Not
is
trying.
not trying. God is,
God is ignoring us until we have divined the day
Okay.
of oneness in us
Right.
that never
Eh,
ends.
but
So
it-
there is no outside, there's no inside,
Right.
there's nothing left of that vernacular.
right. It's intending to express itself fully through us as
No.
us.
Surprisingly. I mean, some of that can be said and accentuated as an all right start place. It's the
Okay.
start to the end of the old way.
Okay.
That we divine, that we are in a sense, a substitute for isness. While we have a body, we need to help be a bridge so that comes through us.
What is its intention? It's flowing. It's got an intention. It's moving.
How
it's
long do you want this talk to be?
I know that was one of the problems. We were going to do a short talk on this
I have
one.
another talk. See?
Maybe we should end it here, and we
can
do
end it here.
We can start
Let's
a new
do
one.
it to be continued.
The word series.
The words. Ooh, I like it.
You like it?
Let's do
Okay,
it.
Good.
And you can, if the audience, do they get to come in and say, hey, what about this? And
Oh.
why are you saying that? Do they get to do that?
I didn't go that
That would
far,
be
but
so
that
cool.
at some point might be a really cool thing to do.
Do you have
Absolutely.
an email or a place that people could, with respectfulness, engage
Actually,
conversation?
No, but that might be a good thing for the
Well,
future.
We'll talk about it
We'll
and get
do
back
that.
to you.
We'll get back to you. So, so for Presence Dialogues, I want to thank Annam, and I want to thank you.
And the Word.
all, and the Word. First of all, the Word.
First of all, the word.
And thank you for listening and participating in this very alive discussion about essential things in life. Thank you very much.
Namaste.